Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Debbie and I'm on the creative design team at Sizzix. And 'tis the season, it's almost time to start counting down to the best time of the year and the joy in the kids' eyes when they see all the fun things that are out there, whether it's in the magazines, on the toy catalog, in the store display windows, or on TV. The possibilities are endless with the things that they can create and the fun that they'll have creating something alongside with you. So I've got a great project to help them start counting down to the big day ahead in December, and you're going to have a great time creating it with them, and it's something fun that they can do each day as the day approaches. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera overhead so you can see the technique and how to assemble everything. So clearly there's no age group when it comes to counting down for Christmas. I really literally think that I start counting down by New Year's Eve for the following year. My favorite holiday, and how fun is this to help the kids count down to their favorite time of the year. So with the die that I'm using and another one that has the star, everything's ready to go. I added the hand-drawn alphabet with some of our adhesive sheets, and just with a long strip of paper to hide behind, partially behind the tree, and do the fan fold that we all remember from the days of making fans. Just do the little accordion fold, fold it up back behind the tree. And as each day approaches and passes, have some more stars for them to go ahead and stick as each day passes leading up to the big day. So let me walk you through how I created it. It'd be a great little project for them to hang on the wall or hang on the tree or on the door, one of the cupboards, or even in their bedroom door. It's just a fun little project for them to have, creating and cutting all the pieces with you and assembling. And every day they have something to look forward to as they count down to the big day when the Jolly Man arrives. So what I've used is I use the pine tree die. Now this is a Bigz die. Both dies that I use are Bigz dies, so it can cut multiple layers, multiple different mediums of material. So this one is a little more of the traditional pine tree. This has the more of a chiseled straight edges. It also has the star, where the other die set that I use for the tree does not have the star. So I use the star from this die set, and then this one has the tree trunk. So when you go ahead and cut this, you don't need to cut off the trunk if you don't want it, or you can add it if you'd like. So for this particular one, the pine tree, I use the star from this die. Now this one has the multiple shapes, Christmas shapes. It has the star, the candy cane, and the tree. It also has two little dots here that you can cut in multiple colors for your ornaments. And then if you're going to add a little face or something, a little detailed to your tree, or a little face to your star or candy cane, you can go ahead and add those too. You could also do the little boughs of scallop edges with these. So this is kind of like a half circle, like a smiley face. So it could be using these two for eyes for any of the ornaments, or it can be used as a decorative piece on the tree. Now the candy cane, you would have to fussy cut the white to add the stripes to that, depending on what flavor candy cane you have. But since this is a Bigz die, remember, it can cut multiple layers. It can cut 8 layers of fabric at a time, thin mat board, chipboard, all sorts of materials. So thin foil, and the possibilities are endless with any of the Bigz dies too. So let me show you what I did. So if you're familiar with our media board, it's a heavy mat board. And I went ahead and with our adhesive sheets, I added the pine tree green from our festive cardstock pack onto our media board. And I want to make sure that I am able to cut this whole tree. So I just cut our media board in half. It comes 6 by 12, I believe. And just make sure it's covering your entire die set. Now, don't worry about it covering it's just going to cut off something that you won't need to keep. I just want to make sure it's big enough to be certain that it's going to cut the entire tree. So with a cutting pad on the bottom and on the top, I'm going to run it through my Big Shot fold-away machine. And always, it's just a good rule to remember to have the blade against the good side of the paper. That lets you know that even if you do a word, it won't be backwards. So the good side of the paper against the blade is always a good rule of thumb. So you can see it cut completely through. And I have these little pieces if I want to use those in the green also, but green on green wouldn't show up too well, so I'm not going to use it for this project, but I'll keep it for a future use probably. So I'm going to put the tree aside. Now since the mat board is a little thick, sometimes it gets embedded in here, so I'll just take my die pick and pop those pieces out. Because the more you use it, you don't want it to keep getting embedded into it further and deeper. It doesn't ruin the blade, it just, all the layers at one point do get stuck in there. And the pressure from each time you run it through, you don't want it to get coated and filled up. Okay, so now I want to make sure that I have, you know, some ornament colors. So I just need to have that one piece. Oops, I'm just going to use our hibiscus, and it also has the matte board, the media board on there. Now, I could just use cardstock, but I kind of like the thickness of using the media board behind the little ornaments, just so it gives a little more realistic effect as the dimension to it instead of a flat piece of paper. So that cut beautifully through there like that. As you can see, now I could have put another piece of adhesive sheet behind it, so these would be stickers, but I'm just going to use my express glue. So I have other colors that I've already cut previously because you didn't need to sit and watch me do all of them. So I have some more ready to go. Now, like I said, I wanted to make sure I have a star for the top of the tree. Every tree has to have a star, right? So I have a piece of our Mirror Opulent Gold cardstock. Actually, this is a brushed gold, and it has the adhesive sheet on the back. So I'm going to peel that off. It makes everything a sticker, so it's perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that down on top of a piece of the media board. And like I said, good side of the paper against the blade. Something like this, it doesn't matter because the star is the same shape on top and bottom, so that doesn't matter. It's just something I always remember. So just a good rule to do no matter what. And I've got my star all set, and that's ready to go. So I am done with my machine, so I'm going to put that aside. So you're going to need probably about 5 or 6, depending on how many, how narrow your score lines are going to be. So this is 1 3/4 inches wide and 1 3/4 inches between each score line. So the whole strip is just a basic copy paper. You don't need to use cardstock if you don't want to. And I just did the accordion fold like that. So I scored it every 1 3/4 inches down. So each panel is a perfect square. Okay. So I have my tree. Now what I want to do first is I want to decorate it, so it'll let me know where I'm going to be cutting it. Okay, so I'm going to do a little puddle of my express glue on here, and I'm just going to dab it with my finger. Oops. Barely need any. I'm just going to put it there off to the side. Just kind of balance them out, kind of whimsy-like, and then you could go ahead and add a little glistening dots if you want, or sequins and beads. That's kind of a fun little idea to embellish it up. But like I said, you could just use the paper flat. You don't have to use the thicker media board. But I just like the way it looks. It kind of gives it a fun little, what do you call it? Just more of a dimensional, like an actual bulby ornament. Oh, I got some glue on there. Okay, a little bit more here. One more on the bottom. And actually, I just realized I do want to use the machine one more time because I want to add the tree trunk in another color. Put this machine back. So the die that I used for the tree, I want to make sure the trunk is going to match up perfectly. So since there's already media board on here, I don't need it to be any thicker. I'm just going to put a little piece of adhesive sheet behind a piece of brown cardstock and just put it just at the base of the tree where the trunk is. Run that through one more time. Now I'm done with the machine. Okay, now let me put this little tree back here. And I'm just going to go ahead and add the trunk. So since this is a sticker and it was cut from the same exact die, you know the trunk is gonna match up perfectly. So that's all set and ready to go. So since I want the tree to have, obviously be cut in half, I'm gonna go ahead and trim it at the bottom. Let's see. I probably should have paid more attention to where I was putting these dots, these ornaments. Let me move one of them up. Okay, clean that piece off again. I mean, each of your kids, if you have more than one, they can each have their own in their room and count down. And then I went ahead and I cut multiple stars for the for them to mark off as each day passes. And then I'm gonna use my glue and I'm going to adhere. So while I'm assembling the tree itself, we will be able to, the star on the tree can dry. So that's gonna be on there. Okay. Let me put one more ornament in the middle just to balance it out. You know, you keep going and then you don't stop. Okay, so there's that. So next I'm going to do the accordion. So I have multiple pieces already folded and scored, and it's just going to start counting down all the days of the week. So I'm going to go ahead, and the first one is folded. So the part that comes right underneath it is the fold. So we call it the valley, mountains and valleys. So you're going to have one folded like that, and then it's going to be progressively going underneath it. So the next one will be folded, same thing, and it's going to go underneath that. So you always want it, well, you don't have to, but I like to have the one that I'm adding, I like to adhere it to the bottom of the one that I just, that's at the end of the one I just added. So that one's there. So it's continuous fan fold. So mountain valley, as some people like to say. This is the third one. Some calendars, or countdown calendars, I should say, some people have them going up to Christmas Day. I remember when I was a kid, for an Advent calendar, I was so busy Christmas morning that I forgot about the last day of the Advent calendar. So it seems like some places, when it has the countdown, it stops on Christmas Eve because they figured no one might be paying attention on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, because that's the exciting day. So I'm going to go ahead and do the last panel. So the last panel, you're just going to go ahead and lay that down there on there like that. And then I'm just going to trim this last one, just the one that's hanging off, just in half. And that'll be the part that is adhered to this piece here. So the fold will be folded, it'll be a mountain on the base of your bottom of your tree trunk. And just kind of put it right there behind it, right at the fold. Put a little more adhesive back here. And then I'm just going to trim off that part so it's not visible on the back side. Okay, so that's all ready to go. And then they can take their markers, or if you have a favorite die cut set of numbers or alphabet, or numbers and alphabet, you can just go ahead and adhere those down, or the kids can write them. It'd be a fun little project, or they could write them as they go. That's another, as each day passes. So you can just keep going all the way down to Christmas Eve and continue on. And as the days go by, have these already ready to go. Or they can just do a checkoff mark, or they can draw a heart, whatever they want. But as each day passes, go ahead and stick a star down, letting them know that the day's almost here. They can wake you up early and start digging into their loot. But this is such a fun project. Go ahead, fan fold it back up, right behind the big one. And there you have it. A perfect little tree counting down to the best time of the year. And to show you how the countdown would look like with the pine tree, here's an image of it cut same way, done exactly the same with the tree trunk. So that's a different version of the one that we just showed. So the trees are a little more different, but they gives the cutest little image no matter how you do it. And the glittery star at the top is the difference between those also. So using the same die set, which is the ornament, Christmas ornament die set, here's the candy cane. I just cut it out of mat board with the red adhered already to the mat board, ran it through the machine. I mean, you could do it in 2 steps, but instead of running through the red and then adhering it, and then running it through the mat board and then adhering them together, adhere the color first, and you got it in one swoop. And then I just fussy cut with my trimmer really narrow strips of the candy cane, added some ribbon, and that's a cute little ornament. And I could have put the stripes on both sides, but there's that one there. And then using the felt. This is our neutral felt with the same dots, but I cut them all out of felt. I hot glued the dots on there. I hot glued the ornament. So obviously this is something that you wouldn't be able to do with the kids if they're a little older and they know how to stitch. That would be a fun little technique. And I just stuffed it with batting, or since it's so small, you could actually use cotton balls. So this is a fun little option of doing something with the same die set that we did the countdown calendar. So what better way to count down to the best time of the year than with a fun Christmas calendar countdown? The kids will love it, they'll love you for it, and they'll have so much fun creating it. Whether you're cutting all the pieces for them and letting them have a heyday and assemble them with their friends at the table, it's a great little project that they can get started on. Especially with November almost being over, this is something that's perfect for them to create and have ready as soon as the tree goes up in the living room, as soon as your lights are out on the front of the house. It's a perfect project for them to have and work on at home with you by their side during the best time of the year. And make sure you have Christmas music in the background and some hot chocolate as well. Thanks so much for joining us. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section below. If you post anything Sizzix or have any options and ideas that you're going to create with this, use hashtag MyMakingStory. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you again next time.